What's up, people? This is Old McWaller. Um, in my PJs, you could probably see my reflection. Hey, guys. I just really quickly wanted to show you guys my grow light setup. Really simple system. It's a four-tier system. I've had this for a couple years now. This is nothing new, but I just figured let me show you guys, especially the newbies that might not have saw my old videos. Um, this thing right here is basically that. It's a four-tier greenhouse. I had got it for like $20. It was on sale at one of our stores, and you know, simple system. Anybody can do this. You don't even need a greenhouse. As a matter of fact, I bought it as a greenhouse. To use as a greenhouse, but I end up just using it as my grow system inside of the house. But probably next year, I'm going to replace this with actual shelving, and I am going to use this as a greenhouse because I don't have a porch anymore. And I used to, after your plants and stuff grow in the transplant phase, you're supposed to what they call harden your plants, which means just put them outside and let them experience a little bit of the environment while they're still in transplant stage, while you still have them in the transplants, and bring them in or put them on a porch or something. Like I used to just put mine on the porch just so they can feel some of the temperature drops and all that other kind of stuff. Um, so because right now my new house we don't have a porch, I am going to, you know, start using that and putting that up in the garage, and then I'll move this stuff to the garage. But I won't do that until next year. But I just want to show you guys what I have really quick. Very simple setup. Top row, I have these dome um, covers, and inside of them are LED lights. I didn't always use those LED lights. I really just purchased these in 2017. So last year, I grew those. I like them, but I wish I would have gotten a higher wattage. But they still work very, very well. And before I got those last year, I used to use just the CFLs. These are 1200 watt bright white, not the soft white, but the very bright white CFL lights. And I used to use them, and they work exactly the same. These are really good. Actually, these still work a little bit better. These LEDs still work better than these, but you can do the same with these. I had these for a couple years, um, setting up in those things, and it was perfect. With these not being as high a wattage LED lights, all it means is I keep my the light a little bit closer to the plants, the seedlings. Whereas before, if you have a higher wattage LED, you could keep your dome up a little higher and keep it in one spot. So with these lower wattage ones, I'm going to keep them low, and then as the plants grow, I'll raise them up a little bit higher, just how you see these two are. But once I get about that height, that's about it. It's going to stay there. But those work. Um, and because they low wattage, what I do is to make up for it, I just put like this is lettuce and these are herbs. So I put all those shallow kind of plants up top. I don't put any of the heavy stuff, and they absolutely work fine. Last year, I thought I was going to have my garden up, and I didn't have my garden up, but I actually did plant my seeds last year. So I tested these, and I know that they actually will work for lettuce and herbs. Okay, so that's that. Now, second tier, you see kale, I got collards, I got these are a little bit more hardy plants. So what I use down there is the first LEDs that I purchased. They're these things. this one square right here. So I only have one square. I have it in the middle here, and that that changed my LED life. They were inexpensive. I purchased one, and the plants grew so well. The leaves were so full, and it was just my plants were just going crazy. And I was like, yo, I've never seen them grow like this. And before that, before that, I went old school. I had like two of these, and again, these worked. The only thing I had to do was I kept them low to the plant, and as the plant grew, I had these things on a like string that I would pull up until they, and so I just raised this as the plants grew. When I bought this LED, let me see if I can show you guys. Let me drop this down. If you can see, this LED is high above those plants, and it still gives enough light that I don't have to drop that LED down. It's enough light that spreads across. Now, every now and then, the edges, like over here or maybe over there, they may look a little, like they're struggling just a little bit. But those, so this container has, what is it, 18 containers. So the 12 in the middle are perfect. Those six on the outside, every now and then they may look a little bit, whatever. So all I'll do is just switch around those these little pots. I'll switch them, you know, with the ones in the middle every now and then. But still, that one thing is enough for that whole system. And all of these up top and here, I don't know if you can see them. This thing is heavy. Hold on. They're all sitting on warming mats. Okay. I'll um I'll put some links to some of this stuff so you guys can, check it out if you want to. Warming mats to help out my plants. Those things would work great. And that's really about it. The only other upgrade I did to my system was the background. Like I told you, that little shiny background. Literally, guys, what I used to do was I used to go to the dollar store, get the dollar store aluminum foil, and I would wrap each row with aluminum foil, that real shiny side. And that's because I wanted all that. You see how all the purple light is reflecting all over the place? All of that keeps your plants, your seedlings, from getting real leggy. Now, some of you may have heard some of the pros use that term leggy. What leggy means is, when your seedling grows up, excuse me, once it comes out of that soil, it's looking for sun, right? And so, or some kind of light source. So, because of that, if you only got a little bit of light or you put it in the windowsill or something like that, that plant will grow really long because it's trying to get close, as close as it can get to that light source, as close as it'll allow itself to grow. Now, you don't really want that. You want the plant to grow up and get, that tall, and then spend the rest of its time growing roots and growing other leaves on the stem. Now, when I first started, I all my plants were real leggy. I had no lights. I didn't do my lights until the second year. My first year, I thought, I'll do these little things here and I'll put them in the windowsill and see what they'll do. And what ended up happening was all my plants grew real long, and I got real excited, like, oh yeah, look at my plants, they're growing wonderfully. And then I looked on YouTube and found out, no, you don't really want to do that. So I actually had some little weak, straggling plants that I had to really nurse really into good health, and they really didn't get good health until I actually put them in the ground. But after that, I started growing with the grow lights and the warmers, and my plants have been doing wonderful. And then, like I said, 3 years ago, I moved to the LEDs, and then so 3 years ago, I bought my first LED, and everything else was the CFL and the long halogen light. And then that next year, I bought this another LED, the one I just showed you, which is the same as that one. Let me show you guys again what it looks like. It's just one square. This is the same that's over my kale. This is this one here. I bought this one 2 years ago. Bought this one that one 3 years ago. They come with just this little hook that they're supposed to like hang over. And but when you hang it on a shelf like this, it hung too low, right? I couldn't get anything under that. So what I ended up doing was going to the dollar store and putting these hooks on, those little things that you can peel off and stick, and they peel off, stick, and because this is a, wire base here, I just hooked it on here, and I got like 3 hooks on this light. And so that's all I did. This one I never put the hook on there because I, sometimes do some other things. So you can see I have some more plants all the way down at the bottom there. That's actually the very, very bottom row. And I'm actually just sitting this. I set that one there, and that's enough to just shine all the way down. I left that one like that because I never know what I'm going to do with that. And then the cardboard boxes here, because these are that wire kind of thing, it's hard to use this as a shelf. So I just cut off a couple cardboard boxes, and I use that to as the shelf. So I'll have my water, for example, my water jug, and I use something like this little mustard bottle thing. I fill this up with water, and my little peat pots up top here. When I'll need to water them, I'll use something like this. I want to tell you guys, listen, the key to gardening is always be thinking about your garden, because you can always find things when you're thinking about your garden. There's a lot of things that I'm going to be trying, and people are going to be telling you, go to Home Depot, get this, go to Walmart, get this, go to Dollar Store and get that. But there are sometimes you're going to be finding some things that it may be unique, but when you're thinking about your garden, it'll always work. Like I told you, you see that background, the sides here, the shiny background in the back? Well, before I told you I used to use the dollar store aluminum foil, right? Now, just this year, I put that background and these sides on. And where did I get that stuff from? Well, I was at the job, and they were recycling a whole bunch of these big advertisements. And so I grabbed one of the advertisements and was like, man, this is pretty cool, right? But when you turned it over, bam, mirror. And the first thing I thought was, yo, I can use that for my garden as my base. And so that's what I did. I got that as the base. Started putting, I got 4 of them. I got 3 of them up there now. All I did was put some holes in them and put some, you can see those are just the little strip ties. And I put the holes in them, and that's how I connected all of them together. And then I just used that. I saw these at the job. These are just, you know, companies before when they're printing out, their cereal box, not cereal box, but like cookies and potato chip bags and all that kind of stuff like that. They print all these out on this one sheet, and sometimes that stuff doesn't get used. And that's what I used. I just hung it up there with, you know, dollar store grips here, and it gives me that on the background, so that keeps the light, all that LED light inside of there. That reflective actually helps all your plants. So when I got plants on the side like this, they don't get, even though they're far away from, they're not under that directly, they still get enough light because all that light kind of circulates within there. And then on the front of this thing, how I close it, I close it with this thing. You know what this is, right? This is that little reflective cover that you put in your windshield in the summertime in your car. You put this out to block out the sunlight. That's all I do. I hang this thing. It has these things had come with these little strappy things on them, right? So I just tie the straps up top on that top bar, and that's how I get this thing to stay. And it just, again, that reflective there keeps all the light inside of there, and that's it, guys. So you get those things when you're really thinking about your garden at all times, and you're thinking about how can I improve, what can I get to make things happen. You know, another thing that I did buy when I started using the lights, I also got a timer. These things are invaluable. So right now I have a timer over there, and it is set to run these lights for 14 hours. So they come on at 6 in the morning, they go off at 6 at night. I mean, I'm sorry, at 8 at night. And that has worked for me. Since now all my lights are LEDs, I could probably run this thing for 24 hours because of the low cost of the electricity. But I've always ran it for 14 hours, and that has worked for me. So I kind of want to give the plants some kind of rest from the light. So 14 hours works for me. But that's about it, guys. Like I said, you will always want to be thinking about your garden. Always, what can you do better? Um, and you know, cheap ways to get things popping. If you with me at any length of time, you're gonna hear me talk about the dollar store all the time because I buy everything for my garden from the dollar store. Most things, I mean, a ton of things, little ins and outs all the time. So, if you guys have any questions about anything that I'm showing you here, uh, how to set your own up and build this over time, or jump right in, just hit me up, let me know any questions you have, and I'll be sure to answer them when I have the opportunity to. All right, guys, peace and love to you. Get to growing.